And the interesting thing is that you can only learn what this deeper state is by getting in contact with it. You can't learn about it by thinking about it or reading about it. You can only learn about it. It's an aha, oh, yeah, there it is. You know, and it only happens in contact with it, in another person, or sometimes, you know, through some life event. Sometimes it happens for people as they lie dying. Then they have that experience. Oh, too bad I didn't have that experience when I was 20. My life would have been different. So, but it does happen, you know, as you contact it in yourself, it begins to teach you. And then gradually you can have that contact when you are doing everything. Even when things are very difficult, you can feel all of your anger, your reactions, your sadness, your conflicts. You can feel all of that. But once this thing has been awakened in you, you can always also at the same time take refuge in that. But it requires that you focus on it. It requires that you let go of your attachment to all those other things, all those reactions. And, you know, we can start to have a different attitude about our own reactions. We can take our own ego reactions as an opportunity to surrender. Maybe we don't manage it right away, you know, but when we are in a situation where we are stirred up in some way and we get feeling this and that, and, you know, we want to fight, or we want to reject ourselves, or we are not good enough, and all that. We can take those things as a sign that we need to work more deeply. You know, what am I doing to create this situation? And if we use that as a way to go more deeply, then we can discover, oh, well, I'm still that state. That state is still there, and that state informs us what to do, what to say. When we are speaking from the ego, then things get worse and worse. When we speak from that deeper state, and when we relate to that deeper state and listen to it, then, you know, we can discover how we can make a situation better by letting go of the obstacles in ourselves. I mean, I just had a big experience like that recently, where, you know, in a situation it seemed, whoa, this is not reasonable. Something doesn't seem reasonable to me, but it's real, and it's close in my life. So, of course, at first, you know, I react, and I go, oh, you know, what is it? And everything kind of falls apart when the ego is reacting. Well, gee, then, okay, I have to go through all that again, feeling. But then when you sit with it for a while and work with it and go more deeply, then something comes up from within. It says, well, what do I really want? Well, I really just want to share love and essence in this situation. So I let go of whatever my position in it is. And when I let go, the other person or the other people, in this case another person, can feel that I'm finally letting go, you know? And then they can let go too. And when you have two people who let go, then it solves itself. both people are willing to give everything, then what can go wrong? You know, then you find some solution in a practical way that is okay. Now, of course, that works a lot better when you have two people who both want to do that. When you have only one person doing it, then sometimes it's not so easy. But you can still do your part. You know, each person can always do his or her part. And then, you know, it becomes kind of okay, I have to just accept that another person who I'm close with is not really willing or interested in doing that.
It's also kind of an invitation for the other person.
It's an invitation for the other person. You can at least invite. And then it's up to the other person, you know? And it's extremely powerful. I mean, surrender. You know, I don't know if you notice in your lives that you sometimes would like very much to have control. Do you ever have that feeling? I want to have control. How does that work for you? Can you do it?
No, you get stuck.
You get stuck. The more you try to control, the less control you actually have. Can you relate to that? I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience. And gradually, there's nothing to control. There's only to surrender, only to let go. And it means, you know, you are, even though some things are very painful, you accept the fact that, yeah, it could end up like that. But even if it is, I still have myself, I still have my breath, I still have my life, I still have, somehow things will work out. Even if I don't. You know, this is what, now it's Easter, you know, he's hanging there, and he said, let thy will be done. This is not so easy, especially the way he was situated at the time, you know. But we can all do that, you know. We can, instead of fighting, when we feel this wave building up in us that says, no, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? What's going on here? This is, you know. Then we just say, look, relax already, you know, relax. And then this whole burden, you know, the whole burden of your self, little self, dissolves. And you can breathe, and you can say to somebody, I really love you. And I just want to be. You know, let's work on this together. And it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be your wife or your husband or your friend. It can be a worker, person you're working with. You know, it could be anybody. Love is always possible. But it takes letting go. So when you feel yourself hardening up, I mean, I'm no different than you. When I feel myself hardening up, I try to really just look at it. Look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. Why? What can you do? What can you do? And sometimes, you know, you have to go through an argument. Sometimes you have to go through a kind of unfolding of that pattern to really see it. But then when you see it, the critical thing is at that point not to keep hanging on to it and being stuck in it, because then it becomes a real prison, but to really let it go.
And also not to judge.
Not to judge, yeah. Not to judge yourself, not to judge the other person, the other people, whatever situation you're dealing with. I mean, let's face it, you know, the world is full of all kinds of different things, all of which in some ways are equally crazy, or equally weird, or different, or whatever you want to call it. So accepting that, then you can, look through that surface craziness or whatever it is. Peculiarity, I like to actually call it that better. I'm peculiar, you're peculiar, everybody's peculiar. But at the same time, we are one in the essence. And if we can stay focused on that oneness, then suddenly, and some of these, peculiarities become beautiful qualities. Isn't that amazing? I mean, when you it's all in how you look. If you look at somebody like he's crazy, they're going to get more and more crazy. If you look at them like there's some wonderful quality there, that wonderful quality will grow. And if you look around in your life and you see that your life is full of real craziness, change how you look at it. And it will change. But for me, it has been and is a really, really gratifying experience. Sometimes it's very, very hard, but I would much rather have that than the opposite. And the thing is that when we're right in the middle of a wave like that, then it's very hard to not stay stuck in it. Because it tends to reinforce, itself. I mean, it tends to build on itself. So it gets stronger and stronger the more we put our attention on it. And what happens, to me at least, is when it gets so strong it becomes a really clear feeling of either or. Either I die with this or I let it go. That's the feeling. And letting it go is a way of letting it die, but it's a good death. The other is a bad death. It matters how we die too. To die open and grateful is a heck of a lot better than dying closed and angry.